Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. You think we could actually blow this up so it takes up the whole screen, even more than me? Yeah, the slides, that is. OK, so I'm going to begin by taking you into the rainforest. We're here to talk about Rainforest Connection, startup based out of San Francisco, but we're spread all over the world. The idea being that sound, the acoustics of nature, is really one of the most underutilized tools for understanding the most. It's a whole new era in front of us. So I'll begin by taking you into the rainforest. Can we turn this up a little bit? So when you go to the rainforest for the first time, it's the sound that really hits you the most. There's a cacophony of noise, like you can see here, or here. But there's some things that stick out every once in a while. So you have this big bird in this case. This is a hornbill. These are cicadas. These are gibbons, these amazing apes that sing to each other from a great distance. So again, how do we use sound? Because it is the essence of what's there to protect the forest. This is one of the main applications that we worked on. So as Marco said before, you have a system where the moment the chainsaw goes off in the forest, the sound is picked by a device in a tree, gets transmitted through the cloud to an alert to local rangers on the ground so they can get an alert and jump on their motorcycles and go, what? And jump on their motorcycles, get out there and stop the loggers on the spot in this perfectly realistic rendition of exactly how it happens in the forest, as you can imagine. To do that, of course, you need a device in the tree. We used to use old cell phones. We've moved a little beyond that. But cell phones are great because they have this amazing software ecosystem. They can connect to the networks that are there. We have solar panels and powerful microphones that can pick out the sounds of threats, like chainsaws, from a great distance away. This is what we call the Guardian. It's the basis for our system. This is one of these up in a tree. So I'm going to take you, see what it looks like. The idea is that we use sound to pick out chainsaws. So you can hear a chainsaw right here. Again, this is, we want to be able to use analysis to pick this out automatically. This is pretty obvious. This is not a good example of one we pick out in the forest. But you can hear the chainsaw out of the cacophony of the forest pretty well. Let's take you to a case study. We'll go to Brazil, to one of our projects. This is the edge of the Amazon rainforest. You can see this ocean deforestation, but these islands of pretty intact forest. Those are not traditional protected areas. They're actually indigenous areas, so indigenous people who occupy them. In this case, this is the Tembe tribe. About 1,500 of them left in an area about 2,500 square kilometers. When we met them in 2015, this entire purple area was occupied by illegal loggers, settlers, and drug cartels. Just driving from one town to the next, the tribe would run into these huge trucks full of wood, well-armed individuals. They could only just continue on. So for them, of course, it was an existential threat, but they did take matters into their own hands. There's no law enforcement in the area, so they trained 30 young rangers. But 30 young rangers, an area of 2,500 square kilometers is really large. So a system like this is really important. So we took that device that you had, we taught the Tembe to climb trees and install them on the edges. When you climb to the top of trees, you can get cell phone service from pretty far away. You can get pretty good light, which is pretty great, and you can hear chainsaws from a pretty great distance. So again, this is the device that you just saw being installed by local, very non-technical people on the ground, as we do throughout the world. Again, the way the system works is the moment a chainsaw goes off, gets picked up by a device, transmitted up through the cloud to an alert to local people on the ground who can show up and stop it, which of course is the most difficult part. Here's an example of chainsaws from that area. You can hear it pretty well. Fortunately, AI can pick it out even better at great distance. So again, this area is pretty large. This is an example of that alert going to the Tembe on another app that we built for them. They can they can review the sound themselves and decide how to respond and get out there. In this particular case, they got out there to the end of the road to catch the truck on the way out. Again, too late to stop the logging in this case, but not too late for them to seize the equipment, arrest the loggers, burn the truck, because again, there's no law enforcement. This is all they can do in that area, take the equipment down, and then actually control their land as they will in areas where there is no law enforcement to help them. That sort of underscores what was mentioned earlier, that these people, these indigenous people, are in some cases the most effective protectors of their land. When there's no support for them, we should be building tech tools to allow them to do their jobs because we need them to. Just one of these rangers can have more outsized effect on fighting climate change than dozens of engineers at a clean tech company, because every single square kilometer of forest that we protect is equivalent to 5,000 cars off the road for a year. That's how important it is to protect these forests, and these people will do it if they just have the tools to make it possible. This is why we're supported by grants and contracts with many, many great companies who see the importance of that. But it's not just about protection, right? We have these live streams from the forest. So anybody can download our app and listen to live streams from the rainforest. And that's what opens up this whole new realm of what we can do with sound. So here's another tool that we built on our dashboard. The ability to just listen to these live feeds from the forest, right? And within this, there's a lot happening. This is a spectrogram, scrolling spectrogram. We can use the same AI that we use to pick out chainsaws to begin to identify every little thing that's in there in real time and archivally, to be able to map it onto a spectrogram and do this continuously across all the places where we're monitoring. This gets pretty exciting. You end up being able to do these species heat maps, distribution and presence across wide swaths of forest for every single device that we put up. And sound is great because it stretches a pretty great distance, right? A camera trap will see, or a camera will see what's right in front of you, especially in a forest. It's like 5 meters at the most. In the rainforest, you can do a lot with that. And if you connect that to an AI backend, as we have, it gets pretty exciting. So this, for us, is the vision of what we have, this global nervous system, a real-time nervous system for protection, understanding of the planet. Here's a little for a picture just to show that. The idea that around the entire planet, we can have these nodes that are picking up very rich data, not just threats, but sentiment of animals. How are they interacting? What is the ecology of these different places? Transmit it back to our central hub, allowing anybody to become involved. That includes scientists, NGOs, land protectors, all the rest. This is why we've been able to deploy it in dozens of countries around the world. We're clearly right now in the scaling and growth phase of this overall project, which is why it's great to talk to all of you here. But this, of course, is pretty exciting when you start thinking it's not just about where one species is or 10 species are, but all the species interacting together. So this is not a live feed. This is a feed from Peru. You can see at the top here, there's actually 11 species in 30 seconds on either side of this one area, completely picked out with sound. We're doing this for every single second of every single day of every single year that we're recording, and it's all available in real time. That's why over the past year, we just launched this in January. We've already been able to add automatic detections with AI for 456 species. We expect this to grow exponentially, and of course, there's already 629 that we have in there. Really exciting. It's a whole new field of opportunity in terms of being able to understand nature, because there's so much happening just with sound. We'll take a look at a few more case studies. How is this possible? Building AI models is really, really difficult. The training data to gather it is really hard. That's what held the industry back, so to speak, the industry of bioacoustics, so to speak. So we built this tool, another skin on the same interface, allowing anybody who recognizes the sound to circle it. Immediately, that becomes a label in the database. You don't have to create dozens of these things. You create one. Then using the same system, you can scan through. It'll pick out, scan through our entire database and pick out dozens of examples, if not hundreds. A scientist just has to go and click yes, no on each one. And we've turned what used to take weeks for a single species into, we can actually do multiple species, add multiple species to our system automatically per day. So it's greatly increased our ability to add this global database of automatic detection of wildlife. We'll do a couple more case studies, one in Africa. To the point of the last thing I talked about, being able to find species in data sets, there's this amazing rare African elephant, really important for fighting climate change, by the way, but they're very, very rare. There was a data set from Cornell of 100 years, an entire century of recorded audio, if you listen to it all the way through. And they couldn't find the elephants within it. The system you just saw, we were able to plug it in, and in less than a week, interns found really pretty much all the elephants existing in this data set for over 100 years. It's amazing how this can really speed up the way that we can understand nature. Elephants are so cool, just grumbling to himself in the forest. And this is just like the amazing interest of nature. The one last example to show you is this is not just limited to forests, not just limited to terrestrial applications. Of course, this is the platform. And so here you see Vancouver. Orca whales are a pretty threatened subspecies in this area because of ships and other issues that have to do with fishing. The ability to pick them out and listen to the sort of way that species speak to each other. Are we hearing it? Let's turn it up a little bit. Maybe not. Yeah, there we go. These are some of the most cognitively complex creatures on the planet. We can listen to them, understand their sentiment. And that's really what's next for us. The system that you see here is is it's many, many pieces of software allowing anybody around the world to get involved in this. But of course, you've just seen presence. Imagine we're able to do sentiment analysis, understanding how species interact with each other, what they feel, what they're thinking. Federated learning, so we're not reliant upon networks. This is just the beginning, and this entire platform is really exciting. So we will be taking this out of the rainforest. We've sort of conquered the most difficult place to make a technology work, which is the remote rainforest. We're looking forward to bringing this throughout the world, so bioacoustics can be a way that we understand nature just in cities, in towns, in suburbs, all over the world. That for us is a great opportunity for investment. Please come speak to us. It's an exciting time. Thanks so much.